What's up, guys? It's Cameron, and today we're going to talk about getting out of debt with your spouse or your partner. So my wife's actually going to take over this video here in a little bit, but before she does, I just want to tell you about a couple things that I think are important as like a foundation when starting the process of getting out of debt with your spouse. So I refer to spouse more because it is ideal if you're married. It's a better situation all around because one of the biggest things that you need to get started is to combine your finances. I know a lot of you want to have separate bank accounts. You want to keep things separate. And I understand that a lot of that usually comes from previous history or previous life experiences where it's kind of a form of protection for you to have your own separate situation, or maybe that's just how you prefer it because of how you grew up or just how you think about money. But it's all much easier when you combine your finances together, and you only really want to do that if you're married. If you're not married, then you can kind of do these things separately, but it's just you get way more traction when it's our money, not yours and I's different money. You know what I mean? Just like it needs to be our money, all the debts need to become our debts. So no yours and my student loans, like no yours and my car payments. Like it's our everything. And yes, you will differentiate just for the sake of labeling things, but all the money needs to go towards all of the debt one at a time, not separately. So that's a huge thing, especially because chances are one person has more debt coming into the situation than the other. And usually there's kind of a scared sense coming into it because people are shameful of how much debt they're bringing in or feel like they're contributing more to an issue, which is not really an issue. You guys are just bettering your life and bettering your whole situation. So I have a whole list of things that I was going to talk about, but my wife just recorded before I even started, and she pretty much talked about most of it. So I think it'd be more valuable for you to get her perspective on all of these things because I pretty much agree with everything she says. So yeah, let me switch it over to her.
So when Cameron came to me and told me that he wanted to take our entire savings account and pay off his car, I was like, no. We're not doing that. Like, that we have a savings account. And when he explained to me that, like, how debt works and how we should get out of debt, I was like, okay, sure, because I don't really have the same perspective about money that Cameron does. Cameron finds security in money. He likes to have money. For me, money will always come. Like, it doesn't stress me out as much as it stresses Cameron out. I grew up, thinking that debt was the normal. I couldn't go back now. By the time I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I guess, because I didn't really care, honestly, which sounds horrible, but he was really excited about it and really passionate about it, and I knew it was going to make him happy, so I was like, okay, yeah, sure, let's get debt free, because it wasn't like that big a deal to me. The first thing that made me really excited about paying off our debt was when we actually paid off Cameron's car. That was like a huge thing because I had never lived in a life where you don't have a car payment. Like when you get close to paying off a car, you just buy a new car. Like that's how I grew up. That's how everyone around me grew up and like lived their lives. So for me, I was like, oh my gosh, we actually own this car. And yes, it was Cameron's car, but like it was our car and it was my money, also our money that helped pay it off. So I felt like I contributed to that and I felt kind of powerful doing that. I guess it gave me I don't know how to say that. I guess it gave me confidence. It gave me a lot of confidence being like, oh, wait, we can actually do this. So when you are going through paying off debt, you can pay off things like different interest rates or amounts. We just picked whatever was stressing us out the most, which at that time was the car payments. So when we paid off his car, we were like, oh my gosh, like we can actually do this. Like at first I didn't believe him. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, we're going to pay off a car, like whatever. But when we actually paid it off, that's when it really hit me, like, we can actually do this. It can actually happen. And then as soon as we paid off his car, we made this spreadsheet, and then it was my car next, which my car had more debt on it. And we were like, okay, yeah, it's going to take us like 2 years to pay off my car. whatever, we'll get through it. It'll happen. And then all of a sudden, like more money kept coming in and we kept saving more and like doing more things to save it. And then all of a sudden my car was paid off. And then it was like, oh my gosh, another debt's paid off. I felt even more confident because I had no confidence when it came to money. I was like, I'm always going to have debt. You know, I'll always do my best, I guess. I'll probably have like a little bit of a savings account, whatever. But when we actually paid off his and then started snowballing it into mine, that's really when it felt like the most change in our lives. I had a lot more student loans than Cameron did coming into our marriage, which he knew, obviously, because we've been together forever, like literally forever. And so I actually went to 4 years of college, plus I went to aesthetic school. So I had double, almost triple the amount of student loans that Cameron had because of the choices I had made going to college and a trade school. So there was a lot of like almost like shame about that he had a lower car payment. He had less student loans than I did. And for a lot of our marriage and just dating, he had brought in a lot more money than I had because I was constantly going to school, and he had actually, you know, started a full-time job and like actually working a job. And I had worked part-time jobs here and there. And then I started out as a receptionist and then a full-time esthetician. And it takes a little bit to kind of, you know, build a career. So when I had more student loans than he did, it just felt like I had a lot of negative feelings about that it was all my fault we were in debt, and now Cameron was picking up the burden that I had brought. But when you really combine those accounts and you combine debt, it's not about whose debt is whose, and there's like a lot of opportunity to be vulnerable when it comes to you having more debt than your spouse or partner, because you have to know that they don't blame you for that debt. And that was a really big thing for me. I felt that Cameron had a lot of resentment and blame that I was the one who would put us in more debt than he had, when in truth, he just wanted security. So it took me a lot of working through those feelings and him letting me know his feelings through it to actually work through those feelings and let myself be vulnerable and let him support me through that. So I'm the one in the relationship that likes to spend money. Cameron hates spending money. He doesn't like doing it. I love to shop. I mean, not like shop, but shop. I like to bring in new things for our home and buy new clothing and things like that. And Cameron could literally wear the same black t-shirt and shorts every day of his life and it would never bother him. Sorry. Gonna go on a tangent here. But I like to spend money. So that was probably the trickiest part, getting debt free, was the trying to like suppress that feeling. And it's really hard to do that. So I found that what helped me the most was just being vocal with Cameron, like, oh my God, I just want to go to Target. Like, I just want to go to Target and buy something today. And he was like really supportive of that, being like, it's okay, I have those feelings too. And vice versa. Like, he actually, throughout this journey, we started paying off thousands of dollars worth of debt. And then he was like, oh my gosh, I find myself wanting to spend money. And so there's a lot of ways you can kind of work on that. One way that we found was, like, there was one time we did this big grocery shopping trip, and we looked at like 3 different like grocery places in our area and found like the cheapest way to get things. Yes, it took a lot of time. Yes, it was a lot of work. If you have kiddos, probably don't recommend, just because of the amount of time it took us. But it was a really good activity for us to do. We were spending money, but we were also finding all these great deals. And I think overall we ended up saving like $30 that day on like a big grocery shopping trip. I think it was like Thanksgiving food or something. So just trying to make a game out of it. I mean, the whole debt situation turned into a game for us of like, oh my gosh, what can we pay off now? Like, oh, we only have this much left on this loan, things like that. Another thing that I really like to do was I got a Starbucks gift card for like Christmas or something, or for my birthday, I don't remember. And we would just go get our favorite Starbucks drink and then just walk around Target and just be like, oh my gosh, I would love to have that for our house. Oh, that's so fun. Like, and just like have fun. We went on a lot of drives. We went on a lot of walks. We did a lot of things that didn't cost any money. It's really hard to do that, but getting yourself out and when you do feel that urge to spend money, just trying to get out of the house or communicating with your spouse or partner and letting them know how you're feeling. Was a really good thing for us. And it really, I think, helps you grow as a couple. And lets you know that your partner's there to support you, and not having judgmental feelings about it. There were times that I'm definitely the more judgmental person in the relationship, and I work on it, where like Cameron would be like, oh, I just want to go spend money. And I'm like, oh my God, shut up. We're getting debt free. And so that's something, that I feel like I grew a lot through that whole experience of not being judgmental about things. So like I said, I am not the money motivated person in the relationship. I don't find security in money. I do now, but back then when I was like immature about money or how money worked and I just didn't ever think I could be responsible enough to handle my money. I feel like the thing I got out of getting debt free the most was growth in our relationship. I started out not really finding security in money or feeling safe when we had a big savings account. Now I do. Now I do feel more secure when we have money to support us, like our emergency fund and things. But honestly, when I talk to people about our debt-free journey, the thing I got out of it the most was security in our relationship. I feel like we grew so much. We matured so much. I feel like I felt safe in our relationship. I felt loved and supported, but I didn't even, like, it wasn't even close to how I feel now. I feel so much more supported in our relationship. I feel like an equal contributor to our relationship, because before I was that person in the relationship that would just stick their head in the sand and be like, you pay all the bills, you handle everything because I don't want to see it. I will just mess it up. And now, I mean, if Cameron was like, I need to step away from paying the bills. I need you to pay all the bills, I could totally do it. I could totally manage our money. I'm an equal contributor now as a partnership in our money situation. But seriously, the thing I got out of it most was like growth in our relationship and feeling supported and feeling connected. And I feel like we both got to know each other a lot better through it. Even when you're together for, us, it's for 11 years now. Like, you can still learn more about your spouse or partner every single day. And I finally learned what Cameron's biggest fears were. I learned like what really motivates him, because he had really kind of shut down that part of him, and I wasn't really open to hearing it either, because money was always stressful and I didn't want to talk about it, and I wanted to bury my head in the sand. I didn't want anything to do with it ever. And he wanted to talk about it, and he wanted security, and he wanted safety. So I feel like the thing I got out of it most, definitely 100%, was growth in our relationship. Yes, we are debt-free, consumer debt-free. That's awesome. Yes, we have an emergency fund. Great, whatever. Yes, we can do more fun things now because we have money. What I still appreciate the most out of all of that journey was growth in our relationship, because that is amazing to feel that. And for people that don't quite have that, I definitely recommend doing whatever you can to grow as a couple, because it feels amazing to look at somebody and be like, I know them down to their core, and we support each other and we feel safe together, and being able to be vulnerable. Now I can, tell Cameron my biggest fears or like something silly that shouldn't even matter really, and know that he's got my back no matter what. And even like if something big happened, we know that we could get out of debt together. We can handle anything, because getting out of debt is so hard. But now knowing that like we could literally do it all again. Like, sure, okay, let's get back into debt. We could do it again, no problem, because we could handle that. We can handle literally anything. Like, one of the biggest reasons people get divorced is because of money. So if we've already conquered that and we've already got to know each other better, like, life could throw just about anything at us, and I know we could handle it, like, deep down to my core. So that's what I got out of getting debt-free the most. Cameron probably wouldn't agree. Cameron would probably be like, I like the security of money. And he likes, having money. For me, though, once again, it was literally just our relationship. Growth was the biggest thing for me.
All right, guys, now you've met my wife and heard her side of what getting out of debt was like. If you like the video, give the video a like. Of course, subscribe if you're new. And let me know if you have any questions down in the comments for me or my wife, or how either of us felt, or tips, and I'll make sure to get back to those. But other than that, thanks, and I'll see you next time.